We are live. Welcome to, I forgot the order of the words. Let me try. Spoilers in this video. Thoughts on Without a Trace Season 2. I think that's how I put it. Otherwise, look above the video. There's the title. So, yes, this contains spoilers, including for the seasons before this, in this case only Season 1. And it's a long video, but there are time codes for different sections in the description box. And since it's a season thoughts, the different sections are the different episodes. So let's dive right in. Let's see. The Bus. We open on the song Mad World, which, very, very appropriate. Also about, someone scared about going to school, unhappy about it. And an entire school bus goes missing. This does feel slightly, attention grabbing kind of thing. It's, yeah. Let's see, they probably put in the ads, an entire school bus goes missing. To make sure to watch the episode where an entire school bus of kids goes missing. Feels like a very unlikely scenario, but yeah, the the actual explanation in the episode is pretty good, but it is still a bit, yeah. I don't remember if they keep upping the ante like this. That would be pretty crazy. I think they get that, what's it called? That impulse a bit more under control in the next. Yeah, I mean, certainly the season finale is nowhere near as of this season. It's, let's see, what, 4 people, 3 people. Yeah, technically it starts as 4 people, but the captain is found dead basically immediately, so it's just the 3. Anyway. And yeah, there's no contact with the kids' cell phones or Blackberries, and they assume kidnapping. And Anton Yelchin, I, you know, I was wondering if I would be able to recognize him, having only seen him in Terminator Salvation, which came out, I guess, 6 years later, 2009. I think this month. Yeah, season 1 was 2002, so this must be 2003. So, yeah. Yes, that's right. I have not watched the new Star Trek movies. And that is not something I need to justify. Even though I have watched, not even though, I have watched everything else Star Trek up to that point, not including, and I'm also not watching Discovery. I guess there's a chance I'll watch Picard. Let's see. And Vivian believes she's found which people took the bus. Good luck. Don't get shot. Let's see. Let's see. I wrote the bus guy. I don't know if bus driver, whatever. Thinks it's about the kids. The kid's father says it couldn't be them. And yes, I did indeed recognize Tommy is Anton Yelchin. I mean, it's not, he looks like, Anton Yelchin, R.I.P. I don't, I didn't see him in very much, but he died much too young. I don't need to have personal opinion about him as an actor or a person to say that. Let's see. They find Tommy left behind, and he does say it was the Carols. Yeah. Again, I voice type these notes. I don't know. I'm not always able to. What's it called? Yeah, to check them for. And sometimes it doesn't get it doesn't always recognize the words right, which, it's what's it called? Google Docs voice typing via, your Google account. It's pretty good on Google Docs, I should say. Yeah, that of the apps. It gets a lot right. And the episode feels somewhat like, excuse me, Columbine. And Samantha thinks the bus driver is secretly working with the Carroll brothers. They look at the Carroll brothers' computer, and they were playing first-person shooter that simulates school violence. So this episode implies that that kind of thing makes people do actual violence. It is true that it can make people more accepting of certain situations, but the studies show that it's not gonna make you go out and commit violence. I will say, obviously they made that particular shooter for this particular episode, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've ever found. I know that there's one where it's like, yeah, there are problematic ones. I know there's one where apparently you're supposed to shoot a bunch of civilians in an airport or so. I believe that's one of them. I have to say, I have never heard of one that simulates school shootings. I really don't think that that would be, there's not really, there are some extreme situations depicted in video games, but I don't think, I don't know if it would be like any kind of like legal, that would be illegal, but I imagine that the response from regular people would be so negative that they would have to, what's it called, take it back off the market, or whatever it's called now. And they get video from the cell phone, which they then start trying to clean up, and Tommy's mother wants to take him away, but let's see. It says he. Yeah, one of the agents, I forget. I want to say Jack, makes it clear that she can't, and we keep seeing Tommy vaguely smile, so it does seem like he might be in on it. That I will definitely say. He was not very old when they did this episode. I'm not sure. I don't know if I had to guess 14, and he really did a great job. You can see why he was cast in this. I'm almost 100% certain that he was not someone people knew before this. This was probably one of the things where it was like, they show that to the agents. They show his scenes in this episode to agents, and that's how he got big movie roles. But he does a really good job. Like the vague smile kind of, we see that like maybe 2 or 3 times. It is very, like, it hits that note. It's ambiguous, but there's clearly something. He's clearly not being completely truthful. And I mean, early on, you kind of consider, is he like in on it? Was the idea to release him, you know, and later we find out it's not that he's in on it, but he does know that he's lying, and like the smile, different people react differently to kind of tense situations, and it is like he knows that he's lying, and he knows that his lying is going to slow down this investigation. And it turns out that the mother was in on it. He didn't help plan it, but his mother did help organize it, and then he found out about it. So it's also a sort of, you know, he feels like he's safe, and that his mother's plan is going to work out. It's very normal for children to take some enjoyment in when things go well for their parents. And we did see at the start of the episode he wasn't psyched about going to school, so there is a sort of, yeah, he maybe does care more about, his mother than these other students. But yeah, I really think they did a great job, because obviously you need that ambiguity. Because if it's just like "Mwahaha, I'm evil" kind of thing, then it needs to, the audience needs to believe early on that he's in on it, and accept later on that it's just that he knows his mother is. Like, yes, technically he is now in on it after being rescued, but he wasn't before. He didn't go into the bus knowing that that was going to happen. So yeah, they really do. That's the show likes to hint at one thing and then reveal that it's another. Jack, Vivian, and Danny are in the park, and Martin wants a life in the suburbs with 2 kids, and Samantha says, "Not for me, not in this world." She's seen things, which, I had forgotten that that was in the. I record this having, I've watched the finale, and then I set up the camera, so I don't know, I guess maybe half an hour passed from the moment the episode is completely over, excuse me, till the episode is over, until I hit record. It takes a little while to set up. So the finale is very fresh in my mind, whereas the episode that I'm currently talking about, I watched about a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks. So but yeah, the finale has Martin and Samantha. I mean, yeah, I would say that they end up sleeping together. It's pretty clear from yeah, their encounter there at the end. So I don't remember. If I did, I wouldn't spoil, obviously. From the next season is what I'm getting at. I don't remember if that maybe causes problems between them, but I could imagine that it's, because that is, yeah, those are incompatible future goals for the yeah. So yeah, I think. See, the thing is, when I watched it on TV, I didn't really notice that much if it was a new season. Season openers and finales, I didn't notice that much, because when it was shown, when I was watching it here, they don't make a big deal out of it. I know that, actually, I guess I don't know about, I watched it where they would show one episode every day, basically. Not basically, that's how they would, one new episode every day. 2 episodes every day, one from the day before, and the new one, in that order. So I, yeah, there wasn't, you know, so I didn't notice, but I could imagine that there is maybe some drama there in the next season. Now, I do think they've done a good job of, just a few breadcrumbs here and there of building towards a relationship without making it like a huge thing that takes up a lot. Martin and Samantha follow Mr. Carroll. And Mr. Carroll meets with kidnappers, and apparently they've taken his 2 sons, and they pull a gun on him because he doesn't have the 4 million. He only brought half. Just give me a kid. It doesn't have to be mine. Frankly, I prefer if it wasn't. and Samantha had to shoot both of the kidnappers. I think they do a good job of, there's really no ambiguity, and here there needs to be no ambiguity. That's what they need for this thing. Clearly she did have to shoot. They would have killed her. Or they would have shot her if she didn't. And, if she only wounds them, they have a chance to shoot either her or someone else. She has to kill them. They have a gun. They're about to shoot her. There's no, it's what they call a good shooting, as if there is, as if there was such a thing as a good shooting. I forget, is it this show where a character says no such thing as a good shooting? I don't remember. Anyway, there are some consequences to that, but the show isn't, playing coy. It's completely clear she did the yeah, she did exactly what she had to do in that situation. Now, I really appreciate that the show doesn't get ambiguous with everything. Now, I kind of wish Mr. Carroll would do the Batman voice when asking, "Where are they?" And Tommy admits he was lying before. I'll be right back. Well, it's not a horror movie, so it's fine for her to say that. Mad World plays again, and Tommy and his mother were recorded. Tommy's mother knew where the truck was, and we found out, in fact, Tommy's mother was in on the whole thing. The kids are alright? That's what Roger Daltrey says. Pretty sure that's a reference to the song. I was going to make it if he hadn't. I forgot to look it up. It's not a problem that I didn't look it up. You know what I'm talking about. And Samantha and Martin grab the drink they were talking about. Yeah, so in the first season there's the thing of, want to grab a drink, rain check, and now they do grab the drink because Samantha needs to, she doesn't want to be drinking alone after having shot 2 people. She didn't do anything wrong, but it still hurts. And that's, again, something I really appreciate. This is not one of those shows where it just, running around, shooting all the people that, as if that doesn't have any kind of toll on the people, as if it doesn't, so the, let's see, and then an instrumental version of Mad World plays. And this is indeed a great opener. I just realized I forgot. I'm gonna make a real quick note to note. Great opener, season finale. For Without a Trace, season 2. There we go. To note it in the review itself. Now, let's see. Right. Revelations. Let's see. And the priest's face is covered in blood, so that's a good... This would also have been a good way to open a season opener. Maybe it was a sweeps week or something. And quick cut flashbacks, and the priest disappears. The confessional's over there. Not enough time in the day. And I realized this might be a last chance he has for getting the organ he needs. Jared Harris, very cool. Always a win. And Martin talks to the doctor. Samantha feels she's being kept out of the field for too long. Restless is not the same as fine. yeah, the therapist does not think Samantha is ready. So that's how the blood ended up on the priest's face. That is kind of contrived. For those who haven't watched this episode recently, I was still watching this. Basically, there was a car accident, and there was a lot of blood on the face of one of them, and he was like really close. I think it was for the last rites. So yeah, he was so close that there got to be blood on his face. You know, when you see a priest with blood on his face, you assume that he himself attacked someone, or maybe was attacked. But it very much it was clear from the start that is not his blood. That is almost definitely not his blood. So yeah, you think, oh, it's like one of those stories where a religious person, a religious zealot, just snaps and kills someone, you know. And the kid admits to Danny that David's mother wanted the priest to stay away from him. A priest was driving out to the airport. The agents discuss meth. Then why are you running from me? It doesn't make you look innocent. You're not, are you? Do you have anything in here that could cut or hurt me? Danny tries to get the kid to quit drugs, trying to be to him what that priest was to Danny when he was a kid. Again, just, you know, sprinkling in a little bit of like backstory. You know, you don't have a scene where Danny just, you know, breaks down and says, this happened to me, this other thing happened to me, and this thing happened to me. Instead, we just get little, you know, yeah, Danny, when he was younger, was on drugs, and a priest got him out of it. And, you know, in the first season with the Amber Tamblyn episode, we found out that he, you know, when his parents both died in a car accident, and he blames himself because he, or at least used to. I'm not sure I would say he still blames himself, but he, you know, yeah, his dad was yelling at his mother, so he told his dad not to yell at his mother, which made the dad turn around to face him to yell at him, and doing that, he was not able to, you know, he stopped watching the road and he crashed. Now, and the church people in power are very concerned about sexual abuse, or at the very least the appearance. And the priest came to see the guy who was in his car. And Danny tells Doyle there's a new liver via a donor. And Samantha figure out about the football star's parents in Florida. Jack catches up to the father. And we get a flashback to the car accident. And Jack talks to Samantha about her going back to the field after the shooting. And I forget exactly where this fits, but those were all of the written notes. I thought it was, I don't know, I mean, I guess some would say it's manipulative, and, you know, but I don't know, I felt it fit with the rest of the, you know, basically, he was, sorry, I really gotta, I have this bad habit of starting a sentence and then jumping ahead so people don't know what I'm trying to say. The priest says to Jack that he doesn't want, you know, Jack says, it's okay. Did it again. The priest says to Jack that he doesn't want to, he doesn't want the donated organ. He's going to go into the house and talk to them, and he's not, you know, Jack says, look, you can talk to them after you get the liver, I want to say it is. But the priest says no. You know, basically he is ready to die. And maybe even telling them, you know, he's made his peace. He is ready to die. He's going to tell the you know, the parents that he was the one who yeah, the car accident, and then he's going to, you know, excuse me. I don't I think I used to know, but I forget the details. But yeah, if you don't if you have like a damaged liver and too long passes without you getting a new one, yeah, you know, as far as I recall, it is like it's like comparatively, it's not like, you know, like if you go into a diabetic shock, as happens to the kid Matt in the finale, you know, that's going to take a really long time before it. Actually, I'm not 100% sure that that by itself can kill you. Really, it can hurt your body bad. But I think, like, if it keeps you from drinking liquid, so you don't get liquid for 3 entire days, 3 days, 3 nights, then you die from that. But without a liver, yeah, that will kill you, you know. And you know, he's had time to prepare. He's had time to make his peace with the fact that he's going to die, because when he disappeared, he genuinely thought there was no chance. He thought there's no way he's going to get a liver in time. So when Jack catches up to him and tells him you can survive, the priest has fully accepted that he, you know, and Jack, you know, it wouldn't be legal for Jack to, at that point, like, drag him back, because the priest clearly understands. You know, if the priest seemed to not understand that it would kill him, then there's this. I don't. I think there's. I forget if there's a process, or if he, as an FBI agent, could just immediately say, "I have to stop you from this because you don't understand that it's going to kill you." But clearly, the priest understands, and he has accepted it. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I mean, I do tend to like the endings of these episodes. You know, I I love what I watched of the show, which was up until Rosalind Sanchez, you know, joined. And this time I am going to watch past. I'm going to watch her episodes as well. But yeah, I do tend to like I do tend to find them like emotionally, like, what's the word, like, satisfying, I guess. Is gotta stop saying like now. Which brings us to confidence. Excuse me. Martin and Danny discuss why we close up shop if business is going so well, too well. Jack confronts Chris about all the lies told. James and Rima are awesome. And Martin doesn't want Samantha to drive them. Alright, keep me posted about Lucas or Samantha or both. And Vivian wants Danny to tell her about the fresh start he got by changing his name. And let's see. Yeah, and his response is to refer to himself as Taylor when answering the phone, you know, instead of Danny. So, you know, or yeah, just I thought it was a nice little, like, you know, clearly they are friends, but that's maybe a little too much for him, or at least at that particular time. But you know, they both they don't cheer for the same team, but they do like, was it baseball or was it football? I forget. But you know, in season 1 there was that episode where they yeah they're clearly friends, but it's yeah. And they catch Lucas with a bag full of cash, and that's just the last 12 hours. Why would I want to kill her? You tell me. Ding, you tell me, cliche. And Danny believes Chris killed her and framed Lucas. And Chris sees her and Lucas together, and the David Bowie song, I don't remember exactly, but I'm almost certain it's the version of the song from what's it called? The American Psycho, both the soundtrack, and it plays over the end credits, and there it's excellent as well. You know, and I've listened to it about 1,000,000 times. Excellent. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that starts playing, and let's see, and then when Danny gets the flashback of Chris killing her, plays again, and then again as Danny leaves after telling him she really did love him. For my money, this is a pretty effective sequence. It's part of why this is one of my favorite episodes of the entire run. And let's see, yeah, Chris hears the tape, realizes she did want out. I think this is an episode that really resonates. It's a bit of a trope, but a lot of men feel like women lie to them, trick them, manipulate them for relationships, for money, and that kind of thing. And really, I mean, I would say that it happens less and less, but there was a while where women had so little, like, a lot of men who just who look at women and think they're all liars. It's always just whenever you're really convinced of a group of people doing something bad, or a person continuing to do something bad, take a step back and consider why it is. And I'm not saying that it's your own fault. I'm just saying there's probably some reason for it. There is no group of people who are inherently bad. And the yeah, it used to be that women couldn't have a job of their own, so they were dependent on marrying a man to actually have financial support. Otherwise, they might be forced out into prostitution, in which case they might be punished really harshly by, you know, yeah, for if they're caught by cops, which is again like people who make law about what happens to prostitutes really have to think about what makes someone become a prostitute. Do you really think they have many other options? And I would also say, they're really not doing that much harm. It's not like, I can understand punishing drug dealers harshly, but anyway. So for a while, it was necessary for women to, not necessarily like lie and manipulate and such, but like they had to compel a man to stay with them, and for some that meant, maybe trying to convince him to marry her. For some, it means having a child together, and again, maybe trying to convince him to have a child together, even if he himself doesn't want to. A lot of men feel like they didn't actually want to have a child, and yeah, I say, if you're not 100% certain you're going to be an absolutely amazing parent, then keep considering it. Don't make the final decision if you're not, excuse me, if you're not 100% sure. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So the that that became sort of a trope. A lot of, also because it ended up with, well, a lot of the men who ended up in these situations, some of them got violent with the women. A bunch of them went to bars and got really drunk and talked about how they had been tricked. So a lot of men who didn't have the personal experience of it would pick up that that's something that apparently happens a lot and drives men to drink and that kind of thing. So I think it was a good idea for the show to go into that trope, and I find that it is a very what's the word? Like it's, you know, it's yeah, it's a very tragic story, a very tragic episode, and really, I think it's the fact that he was wrong. He should have trusted her, even though she used to do things that were wrong. She, yeah, she was getting out of that. And if he had trusted her a little more, if he had let her explain, if he had waited, then, but instead he's gonna live with he now has to live with having killed her. She's dead, and I mean, they're very likely he's gonna be in prison for life because it's murder one. Wasn't an accident, and it wasn't like, he didn't trip and fall and accidentally stab her or something. He planned it so much that he even made sure there was a witness to the other guy who could have done it. Now the let's see. Yeah, the I don't think it would have been a good idea to do the episode if she had turned out to be someone who continued to manipulate and trick men. Like, let's say that she had won, that she had dis. Let's see. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, she did disappear. She was the one they were looking for the entire episode. If the episode had ended with them not finding her, but them realizing she managed to trick this guy as well, even though, he had trouble trusting people. I Yeah, maybe especially women. And yeah, he opened up to her, trusted her, and then you know before the end of the episode, he thinks that he was wrong to trust her, when really the you know there was never any good reason for him not to trust her. The bad things she had done were all in the past. She just had to settle this money thing for James Remar's character, and that was it. She wasn't. Yeah, so he thought that she was going to run away with James Remar, I think, was the thing, and he was going to prevent that by killing her and then framing James Remar. But in the first season there was that episode where this girl who watched a bunch of film noir, she realized, oh, Samantha Spade, like Sam Spade. That ended with her. She managed to trick that was the young idealistic teacher, and that episode ended with her escaping, and she had a bunch of money that he had, and he ended up in prison because he was with an underage girl. That episode wasn't about, oh, women are always tricking. It's about that was specifically saying sometimes the only way out is to trick someone. And yeah, it was wrong of her to trick him, and it really sucks. But it was, we understand why she did it. We have we don't necessarily agree with what she did, but we understand why she did it. We don't it doesn't It's not an episode that paints women as inherently manipulative, and that's the important thing. And in some of this episode it seems like the we do get the sense that maybe she was never gonna, she said she was out of this world, or she had left this world behind, I think it's the same. But the oh, this, do they ever really quit? But yeah, it turns out, sometimes if you really love someone, you can break with a really toxic pattern in your life, and that's what happened here. And 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 it does also have this sort of thing of, it's like that thing of, like, nobody quits the mafia, like, kind of thing. She, I mean, she tricked so many people over all this time. I want to say she spent years doing this, tricking people, getting their money, and showing, she was behaving in a way that you should not trust her. And then, you know, there at the end, after having trusted her for a really long time, her fiance by that point stopped trusting her and killed her. And it's this sort of thing of she thought she could get out, but that kind of thing, you know, James Remar wasn't ready for her to leave. There was that, I think it was that she owed him money, and he wanted that money back from her, or he was gonna tell the fiance what she used to do, something like that. So she got the money for him and gave him the money and said, "No, I'm out. I'm done with this." And it's not, yeah, it's not that women are inherently manipulative. It's not that, let me think. Yeah, and it's not that someone can't themselves stop doing something that's harmful, but it is that if you spent a lot of time inside a certain world, you might not be able to leave it again. You know, it's also something dealt with in the Kane and Lynch games, for example, which once my wrists are better, I'm definitely playing and reviewing. I already did videos on them, but I have way more to say. Prodigy. Am I the only one who can't hear that word without thinking of the song? Anyway, wait, song. Yeah, song. Pretty sure it's the song title, not the artist title, but I forget the artist name, but yeah. This episode does a good job of exploring the pressure put on teenage performers of violin and other similar kind of, you know, things that are extremely difficult to master. And, you know, some of the pressure is by parents and it's by fans, etc. And the pressure that immigrants to America feel to, to make their children's lives in America better than their own in the country they ran from. You know, as America is called the land of opportunity. In some ways it is, but it certainly is also a country that will chew you up and spit you out if you can't reach a high enough level that you can get by. You know, if she's not one of the best violinists in the entire world, she's not going to be, you know, yeah, there's some chance she's going to end up standing playing violin in the subway for change, you know. It's not something that, it's something that you can, you know, yeah, you can have a career within that if you're like the very best. And I think also it's that she already was good at that, or the parents were good at teaching her that. I forget the exact details. I gotta say, personally, I'm never having children under any circumstances, but I can't imagine telling my child that they should learn to play an instrument that's that, like, if you learn to play like an electric guitar, you know, there are people who make a living, you know, you can have a career in that. You can be solo, you can be in a band, you can be in multiple bands. You know, there's that's an instrument that people pay to listen to you play. But violin, if you're not the very best, you're not gonna be able to make it by, you know, I'd probably not go with any instrument at all. I'd probably go with something that you can make a living off of, more like, yeah, anyway. Her father starts talking and you're like, what's supporting parents? And then the mother starts talking and it's like, what a supporting father and what a judgmental mother. Samantha talks to the therapist about getting shot, her getting shot in the thigh. And the therapist confronts Samantha that she shot two people the moment she got back from desk duty after being a hostage and getting shot in the leg. Now, I don't remember, but I don't think, it's not that, I think Samantha specifically says, no, but I didn't, it was a good shooting though. I didn't, It's not like I just, you know, I shot 2 people I shouldn't have, and the therapist says, no, no, it's not. I'm not saying that you acted too rashly or something. I'm saying this is the kind of thing that can really hurt you know, you didn't do anything wrong, but it's important that you deal with your emotions on this so that it doesn't end up feeling like, so that your brain doesn't equate, you know, I got shot, then I had a chance to shoot someone else, and I did. You know, it's not. It's important that she doesn't at all feel like that. And Natasha's mother blames herself for not listening to her about playing so many times. 30 times in 1 year. It's almost 1/10 of the year, almost once every 2 weeks. Yeah, that's wow. Who handles her finances? We do. Okay, but who keeps the Martians under wraps then? And Natasha's father calls some friends and asks them to help with the investigation. Jack confronts him about it and reveals he speaks Russian and threatens Natasha's father. And Danny reads out some creepy fan letters, and they're gonna try to talk to the guy. Where there are drugs, there's usually drug dealers. He loves me just for me. He doesn't care if I'm a great performer. And Damon basically threatens Natasha with telling her parents, and then she threatened him back with getting another manager. Excuse me. And Samantha believes that Shane, the boyfriend, is the one who kidnapped Natasha. Martin poses as a buyer in the black market for the Serafina, offering, let's see, I think it's $500,000, and leaves an email address. And Natasha was diagnosed with acute anxiety panic attacks. If you ever need to talk about anything, my door is always open. I thought they got that thing fixed. It's still stuck partially open. And Samantha opens the drawer for a gun and hesitates, but does holster it and brings it, which means it's already been brought. Clear, 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 clear. I can't help but think of that every time I hear clear. And Shane was passed out. Vivian and Samantha are not big fans of Shane. And Vivian's son Reggie is acting out. Excuse me. The guy sent an email with a picture of a dog to tell Martin they got the Serafina. I thought that was quite cute. Like, obviously, if they send an email saying even just a picture of the violin, it's like, well, this guy clearly deals, it's a black market thing. But a picture of a dog, I mean, that doesn't, like, hypothetically, let's say that the email just got intercepted by FBI and Martin wasn't the one who got, they'd be like, I don't know what that means. Does that have anything to do with our investigation? It could be a million other things, But before Martin left, the guy asked, do you like dogs? So sending a dog means, good news. And what else could it be? Why else would he be contacting him? Martin leaves with the Serafina, and the guys selling it are both arrested by Vivian and Jack. And we find out the man who's been stalking Natasha is her birth father. And Natasha's mother calls her birth father Rasputin, which is, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it's somewhat excessive, but yeah, it is pretty, like, dude, how did he survive? Yeah. Let's see. Jack talks to the other Russian guy about Alexander. Alexander doesn't know where Natasha is. He does seem to love Natasha, but that, of course, doesn't excuse kidnapping. Which it was, he did start out kidnapping her, but then she got away from him. which is also a nice, like, you know, oh, it's got to be a kidnapping, and there's this mysterious man, and then they find the mysterious man, but nope, you know, he did kidnap her, but now she's gone, he doesn't know where. Let's see, Vivian thinks Natasha wants to drive to Mexico, Samantha doesn't agree, but she does check. And Vivian relates to Natasha as a parent of a teenager. And Natasha is told by her parents she doesn't have to play violin until, until she wants to again. Excuse me. Shane apologizes to his father. And Natasha's mother holds the elevator so that Natasha and Shane can go in the elevator together. And clearly now the relationship will be accepted by them. See, the show sometimes is cynical, but sometimes it is also very much like clearly, you know, sometimes these people are really helped a lot. They end up in a very good situation after the whole disappearance thing is cleared up. You know, they learn from what has, you know, they yeah, I really appreciate that. This, you know, this could so easily be really cynical. And I guess, again, I haven't and probably won't ever watch very many of like CSI or that kind of thing. I was always much more drawn to Without a Trace, and like even like stuff that's, I mean, 1-800-Missing is not a great show, but at least it's not, it's just so, I don't like about CSI that it always opens on a dead body and you're looking for a killer. You know, killer. I guess sometimes it's maybe not a killer, it was accidental. Again, I don't watch these shows, so I don't know. I did watch some Law and Order, but that was because I really, really enjoy courtroom scenes. And they're, you know, each of those episodes are half devoted to court. Again, I'm talking about the original, I haven't watched the spin-offs. So it's just not, yeah, the and yeah, you know, Without a Trace, it could easily be cynical. It could easily be, you know, the missing person was kidnapped and then like pumped full of drugs, so now they're going to be an addict for the rest of their lives. Oh, and they were forced to kill someone, so they're going to be in prison for the rest of their lives. But no, there are, you know, very like, you know, tragic episodes like the, yeah, I forget if it's the one right before this one, but not very, yeah, one of these episodes I was just talking about, you know, where the fiance ends up killing her. Yeah, there are tragic stories, but then there are other stories that are not tragic, that are on, you know, yeah, that have some hope to them, which I'm gonna make sure to, I think I already did, but just to make sure. Some tragedies. But some hopeful ones. Endings. Special important parts. There we go. Oh, excuse me. Now, Samantha pauses as she's putting the gun back in the drawer. And Samantha confirms the appointment with the therapist, the Thursday appointment, leaving a message on the answering machine. Now, yeah, the following, I already added it to the review notes, but yeah, for those who only watch this video, not the, yeah, you know, the missing person of the week, they come in any age, ethnicity, and not all of them are straight or even cis. I don't remember very many trans ones. I do remember at least one. So that's something at least. But yeah, I do really appreciate that it's not just, I mean, it's New York. It's a fairly diverse city, so it would be pretty ridiculous. And it's also just today we really need stories that are not all about straight white young men. We need so many of them that straight white young men stop saying that stories that aren't about them is somehow racist or oppressive or something. Let's see. And I say that as a straight white man. Copycat. This episode is a very effective copycat serial killer story, and like the first two episodes from Spaulding, he is a very creepy and disturbing nemesis for Jack. And the episode goes into how many people in law enforcement are motivated by personal loss, personal tragedy, and the toll it can take on people who have jobs like that and their families. Wow, it's especially and in the season finale, so yeah, what's that, a quarter less, whatever. Early in the season, Jack talks to his wife about his mother's suicide, and then the season ends with his wife telling him she wants a divorce. So that's a lot of trauma in a relatively short amount of time. Again, they do a good job of sprinkling it throughout. Now, and One of These Mornings plays. I'm glad the show uses it as much as it does. It really fits. And it's another Spaulding episode, so it's kind of his theme song by now, I guess. And I'm glad that they do kill him off in this one. I do think if they had gone on, if he had gotten a fourth episode, it would have started to get a bit much. Now, not gonna lie, I was a little worried that it was gonna be the baby who went missing. Obviously, it being the parent isn't amazing either, but still. And the husband thought she was having an affair. Jack tells the team about the case from '91. Jack is certain there was no partner, so Martin says it must be a copycat. And they were only 1 hour late to the last victim, and the guy Jack worked with believes it still tears on Jack. Jack tells Martin how to deal with the killer and then calls him Clarice, which is a nice touch. And the supposed lawyer Bob Sherman is Graham Spaulding. Jack says the '91 killer is being raped, which is something that happens to rapists in prison. Spaulding refers to himself in the third person. Very cool to see Spaulding, and I like that he makes for an ongoing threat. No offense, Jack, but what is he doing with a 35-year-old woman? And Samantha relates to the kids. It wasn't blood on the rags, it was paint. Rags, sorry, not rags. And Spaulding sold the school. He probably figured he would never be able to use it to get close to kids again. Good transition, going through the newspaper black and white picture into an actual filmed shot of the same building. Very tense as Jack goes in and clearly triggers memories for him. Jack approaches the woman in the chair, and we see that the only thing in the chair is a wedding ring. And Graham calls him and demands to talk to Jack and says that she's terrified. Randy Thornton must have told Graham Spaulding about the wedding ring since it was never in the papers. Excuse me. And Jack won't tell Vivian what the name Doris is about. Martin says Jack should listen to the CD alone. He says stay. And Doris was Jack's mother. And Jack tells Vivian about his mother's suicide. And that's another thing. I feel like I wish I could think of examples, but there are shows that deal with suicide where it's not very tastefully done. And I feel like, I mean, you could make an argument that it's not like, I mean, it is, it's an episode where a, yeah, technically he's not a, wait, sorry, he is a serial killer, sorry. He's just not a serial, he just didn't used to go after women, but he did used to kill the kids. Did he kill more than one? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble remembering the details. But a killer. It's an episode about a killer who uses the suicide, the suicide of the mother of the agent that he hates to to torment him. So an argument could be made that it's in bad taste, but the I feel like the way that we get some details about it and Jack talking about, I feel like, excuse me, it could be tasteless, but it's not. The and the it rings very true, and it's, I mean, some of these things are not presented on TV as the way they are in real life. But here, yeah, there was more than one attempt. The person trying to commit suicide asks, the those who found the person who found her to not tell anyone. And yeah, some people, even if they fail, there are a lot of people who try suicide but never do commit suicide successfully. But then there are also some who try and fail and then later succeed. And yeah, I mean, if let's say, just, let's say that, just hypothetically, let's say 1,000 people watch this episode, and if just like 10 of them have someone in their life try but fail to commit suicide, and the person having watched this episode realizes the fact that they failed doesn't mean they're not going to try again, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to eventually succeed, and they get that person help, I think that this episode is well worth it. And I just, yeah, and there probably are a lot of people who had one parent either attempt or succeed in suicide, and they blame themselves. They feel like it must have been something I did or didn't do that caused this. And again, this episode can help them. The episode directly says it's not your fault. Maria, I believe it's Maria, the Jack's wife, who specifically tells them it wasn't your fault. You didn't know, yeah. And Spaulding is right in Jack's backyard. Excuse me. And Spaulding says, your daughters, if I wanted them, I would have already taken them. Or, yeah, but that would have been too easy. And Jack realizes Spaulding is in the building across the street, so all five of them go in. They start the fire alarm, check apartment by apartment, floor by floor. Very tense, suspenseful. And Jack comes face to face with Spaulding. The only way you can avoid the death penalty is by telling me where Doris is. And Spaulding leans backwards out of the window, and Jack is unable to hold him by an arm. And Spaulding dies by the fall. I think it's a... There are a lot of them, but I do think it's a good little, like, speech, or however you want to say, when Spaulding says, I don't think I could handle prison or the death penalty, and then he leans so that'll fall out the window. And that's, of course, he, he says, I really thought that I'd be able to get away without you catching me. But the fact that when Jack finds him in the room, he is already sitting on the windowsill. He is, yeah, he's gonna say what he has to say, and then he's gonna commit suicide. Now, Jack realizes Doris must be in a car with a motor running. Also very tense as they check all the cars. And Jack finds the right car and she's still alive. Huge relief for him and the audience. They weren't too late this time, unlike in 1991. And yeah, Jack's mother told him not to tell anyone about the suicide attempt, said she wouldn't do it again, so he didn't tell anyone until now. And yeah, given that he so readily did commit suicide, I figured that Spaulding had decided that if one of the agents caught up to him, he would commit suicide. Let's see. When he made the decision to try to get to Jack, he did give up any chance of staying a free man, but then he probably would never again be able to indulge in, his desires as a pedophile, and some people do find that they would rather be dead than not be able to have sex the way they want to. Now, let's see. Our sons and daughters. In December 2004, this episode's depiction of a teenage orgy caused several CBS affiliates to be fined a total of $3.63 million, later settled to $300,000, due to its airing in the Central and Mountain time zones prior to the safe harbor period of 10 p.m. That really, it's, how did they not realize that that was, yeah, obviously that's gonna offend people. Yeah. Yeah, anyway. The opening credits promise Kat Dennings. Let's see. An epidemic of sexually transmitted disease in a small town. That doesn't make sense. And Chris says that Ethan raped his sister Jennifer. So that's what the fight was about. And Kat Dennings is playing Jennifer. Yeah, and there's let's see if I can get this right. What if he raped Jennifer? Why wait 3 days to run? And the antibiotics were for Jennifer, not for Ethan. And I have to say, this PG-13 high school orgy feels very sensationalist. I have a hard time believing that this can't happen very much. The idea that so many would engage, like, it feels like a moral panic kind of thing, and the line is, they watch porn and they duplicate what they've seen on TV like it's some kind of game. I'm not saying that no teenager watches porn and mistakes it for how sex should actually go. But I am saying that it's not the idea that a lot of teenagers would be having sex with each other like that, and no one finds out until, like, this one person goes missing, and so just No, it's just not. There are, someone would start feeling wrong about what they're doing and talk to someone about it, or it would, yeah. There's just, I'm not going to claim that the show has no sensationalist episodes. I don't know why I was ever doing any of that. Maybe because everybody else was. And Alex put Vicky up to lie to Jennifer about having sex with Ethan, and he went off saying, "I'm going to kill him." And Martin figures that Alex is jealous of Ethan and thinks he killed Ethan. And Jack confronts the sheriff, but doesn't tell him immediately that he knows that Vicky is his daughter. So the sheriff found out about the orgies and killed Ethan because he believes that he raped Jennifer, and he killed him by accident because he didn't know he had asthma. I realized the sheriff did not mean to kill him, but this is still an excellent example of one of the biggest reasons why vigilantism is, in the real world, outside of fiction, a bad idea. Very often you accidentally get the wrong person. It just looks like it was the right person. That's why we need good police work and a trial. And right before the end credits, we get the flashback again of Jennifer and Ethan professing their love to each other. And that's again like the idea of, I didn't know he had asthma, so accidentally I do think that it's a show with too many episodes where someone accidentally killed someone else because the show doesn't want to make a character a murderer, but they do want a corpse by the end of the episode, so they end up with that kind of thing. Yeah, it strains credulity, and it hurts the credibility of episodes that don't have otherwise have credibility issues because they are still connected to, it's the same show overall. A tree falls. And the episode is about illegal immigrants, the pressure put on them from all sides. So Danny thinks it's a coyote. Jared Harris is back. Samantha gets a name from the teacher. And Rodriguez makes a run for it. They catch up to her and say in Spanish they're not immigration. $283 is a lot to earn. How many caps did he sell? And they figure it might be the sex offender, but he tells them who might have taken Nelson. And the employer uses a racial slur, says you can trust immigrants, so Samantha and Danny briefly share a look, and then go along with it, figuring he'll be more cooperative than if they challenge it. And his ear was sliced off 4 days ago, so we're looking for Mr. Blonde. It's not Nelson. Well, anyone looking at how much time has passed in the episode so far could tell they never find the person until the very end of an episode. Which actually, I think later in this season, there is at least one exception to that, but most of the time. Franco Reyes is a walking, talking exigent circumstance. So Nelson fully repaid Franco when he got in the car willingly. And upon finding the girl, Danny escalates the situation with Franco and then ends up shooting him when he comes at them with a knife. And apparently OPR is on their back. I did not know Oprah investigated things like that. And Vivian lies for Martin. And Jack hands some forms that could make him legal. Danny shows Teo the scar he got. And what's that say? The father tells Teo to tell him what he knows. And find out the car theft. So Smalls has Nelson. And they arrest Smalls sneaking up on him in a Mercedes. And Nelson is alive in the back of a car at Smalls' place. It's moving to see Nelson be reunited with his parents and brother. Let's see. And Vivian and Martin need to talk to OPR in the morning individually. Night. Yeah, that is what time of day it is. Now, let's see. Trip box. And the episode is about the bond between firefighters, gambling, getting out of control, and getting into bad debts. Scott manages to come out with the missing. And the captain is certain that something happened to Scott. He didn't just leave intentionally. And Danny disagrees, but Jack feels they should try. Scott McAllister. Any relation to Kevin McAllister? Let's see. And Jack tells Vivian and Martin that OPR found discrepancies because the little girl said she was found before the shots were fired, not after. And someone says she's only 7, you know. And Martin wants them to tell Jack about the lie, but Vivian says that's too late. Get a flashback to the rescue. I like the interaction between Danny and the woman working. What's that say? I can't tell that. And Nick wants to call Scott, but he refuses. Jack thinks they might have been in a car accident. Scott walked away from it. Excuse me. Danny talks to the woman who works for Lou again, and she explains the trip box. He gets the radio transmissions. That's right, the woman who works for Lou. He sure does sound guilty from the evidence. And Jack tells Gus that Scott set fires in the trip box, trying to get him to admit to something. So for 10 minutes, Scott didn't use his radio at all. Danny reasons that they knew about the trip box. Let's see. And the lawyer says that Victor was... What does that say? Excuse me. Just gotta make sure that I did in fact forget to set my phone to silent. Just gonna make sure real quick. Okay. Right, so the other gamblers claim they don't know Gus. Gus was 50 grand in debt due to gambling, and Victor says he'll cover it. We'll work something out. So. Billy is one lucky guy. Now he's got an excuse to wear a monocle. And yeah, they're trying to talk Scott into it. Billy says that Scott can go through with it. Scott yelling Gus's name remind me of like Jack and Rose yelling each other's names in Titanic. Please find him. He owes me $12. Martin and Jack confront Gus, and Gus wears a wire to incriminate Victor. Victor says where Scott's body is, and Gus stabs him in the neck with a broken beer bottle. And Vivian and Martin talk to OPR. Let's see. Yeah, I mean it shows how the bond between firefighters can be exploited. That really the only reason things got so bad were because of the bond. And it's not, the episode isn't saying that the bond is a bad thing. Just, basically it's a everything can be corrupted kind of story. Now, and, I'd say it's a cautionary tale about gambling. And that sort of thing getting out of control. Moving on. And it deals with drug addicts, adoption, and pressure on female doctors. Interesting, different opening to an episode. You see the missing person run for longer, and it's intercut with Samantha talking to the therapist. You get the sense that there are similarities between Samantha and the missing person. They're driven people, and do they maybe consider... What does that say? No, never mind. I don't trust him already. When you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras. Deep. What does it mean? And Evan found Rand's gun and goes all gun controller ass. And he's absolutely right. Every statement that he makes to her, I'm very in favor of how the episode chooses to present that. I find that there are some movies that are clearly in favor of gun control, and that they're kind of the depiction, the way that they, it gets awkward. I would say, as a, off the top of my head, the Bourne Identity, American History X, not American Psycho. And it's because when I watch one, I often watch the other. I own both of them on DVD. And finally, the Friday the 13th remake. I realize that that's not exactly in the same class as the other two. And Samantha imagines Leon, in the apartment, has trouble finding the gun. She does find a bunch of bullets. And we can clearly see that she took some out. So somewhere out there is the gun, and it's fully loaded. Excuse me. According to Paul, the doctor who lives across the hall, there haven't been any break-ins recently. So when Liana said that when Liana said that, she was making it up as a reason for her having a gun. And Liana listens to REM, boyfriend, because of the breakup with the boyfriend. And Samantha imagines Liana looking at the gun, grabbing the gun, and yeah, I can't make that out, but it says something about Jesse, either beating up or was beaten up or something, and someone put in the hospital. They think that's why Leon got a gun. And yeah, again, Samantha clearly does deeply empathize with Liana. And I think let's see, yeah, they say something about, female doctors are much more likely to kill themselves than the rest of the female population. And I don't remember the exact number, but maybe twice as much or something, but yeah. And the father of the boy who died threatened Liana. She's testifying for the family against him. Finds her, she can't testify against you. That makes you a prime suspect. I guess I was loyal when she was loyal. And yeah, we're told about her syringe and narcotics theft. And they talk to the ex, who says the reason he beat up the foreman was that he threw rocks at a homeless man. And that they were having a baby, and he didn't want it at first, so that's where she got the baby clothes. And that's again, oh, he put a foreman in the hospital, beating him up so badly. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's one of those things. I guess maybe it wouldn't be part of that report that he did some violence against someone else. And, the thing with, oh, he beat someone up, if they had had a mutual fight, then it wouldn't have been, oh, he beat him up. Then it would have been, they got into a fight, and it ended up with, but I guess it's possible that maybe that wouldn't be part of the report. And we see the methadone clinic flashback. Phelps was shot in the back with Leon's gun. So Michelle was pretending to be the daughter of Liana. And I'm afraid I had to skip from 30 minutes in to 36 minutes in because the DVD was having trouble. So if there's something in there, yeah, I didn't see it. The letter from 14-year-old Leon to her baby is absolutely heartbreaking. And therapist points out that this clearly hits Samantha especially hard, and she's not sure. Let's see. She's not sure why. And yeah, I was wondering if she maybe herself once had to give up a baby for adoption. We know she did have some problems when she was a teenager, including running away from home at age 16. Now, coming home. And it's about the cost of gays not being accepted. Now, neither Samantha nor Danny went to their high school reunions. Credit the International Bank of Infidelity. Agent Johnson in my office place. That's mighty impersonal, Jack. You understand, if you lose the polygraph, you're going to lose your job. Let's see. Amy is very shocked to hear that Luke was cheating. And Tina claims that such an exclusive country club, they needed to book 8 months advanced. In advance, sorry. Alan feels certain that Luke wouldn't have sex with Tina. What did he do? Someone in this bar, apparently. And, of course, they're certain he must be gay rather than possibly bisexual. Vivian and Martin talk about the polygraph and both blame the other for the problem. And Amy doesn't believe he's gay. And they get prints from the cup Drew was drinking from. And those were the prints on the car. Drew punched Luke. Yes, Malone, he was alone. Martin confesses to Jack, and Jack is understandably very upset with Martin. Alan was the one having an affair, and it was with Luke, not his wife Tina. Danny, this is a suicide note. I sure hope they don't edit this deceptively to make people stay for a commercial break just to find out that it isn't. And Jack confronts Vivian and says he's more disappointed in her than Martin because they're friends. And the OPR have cleared both Vivian and Martin. Jack tells Vivian never to lie to him again. And Tina wasn't talking to Luke about a reservation, but trying to talk him out of coming out. So Luke was talking to Tina, not Alan. Clever misdirect. It was the phone that Tina and Alan share, after all. And we see the flashback of Tina killing Luke, and it is clear that it wasn't premeditated, so Alan confessed because he didn't want Tina to go to prison. And we end on the speech Luke made at the high school reunion. I did think that, you know, they did a good job of the, like the let me think, the thing about how he was really awful to this gay guy in, you know, who was out in high school. That is true of a lot of the, yeah, a lot of closeted gay guys, especially if they are, you know, he's kind of, this term has basically reached self-parody on the internet, but alpha male, you know, he was a popular guy, so yeah, he would go after gay guys, especially badly because he was fighting his own gay feelings. Exposure. And it's about environmentalists and the responsibility of large corporations to not spread poisonous substances. And we open on Evanescence, and most of the audience changes channels. I kid, I don't mind them. It's called Exposure, and it's of course about photography. The way he was hesitating to take the picture looked like it was a gun in there instead of a camera. Too many frickin' people in this town. Avengers Infinity War. And the opening credits promise Daniel Day Kim. Very cool. Samantha and Martin talk about tabloid paparazzi photos. Now, in the flashback with Brian's boss, Glenn, Brian only pretends to be interested in the sleaze. Jack, it's 55 flights. Wear comfortable shoes. And we do indeed get Daniel Day Kim. It's still wild to me. He speaks fluent English considering his character on Lost. But, you know, I've seen him in interviews. Excuse me. If you're looking for Natalie Portman, she's hanging out over at Danny's cubicle. Why am I not surprised? What kind of investigation? Domestic terrorism. And cut to commercial. Gonna have to stick around for a few minutes if you want to find out what that's about. And Melissa Guthrie gets on the soapbox before Jack makes her get off. Save our soils is one of the signs at the protest. And 26 children with cancer from that foundry. The kid is pretty adorable. And the other photographer stole the smart car from the camera. Ryan wasn't running away from the bodyguard, he was running after the car. Violence dumping, and Brian knew it. I like Jack's interaction with Guthrie. So we find out why the three was touching Brian like that. I appreciate that this does go into how irresponsible waste disposal is with a number of big companies. After early on, it seems to say that those who protest things like that can be terrorists, which is very rare today. They play the Evanescence song again. Martin finds Brian, and they were able to save Brian Owen's leg. The rest they had to give up though. Throughout though, sorry. Well, we'll get his eventually. It's still extortion even if it's for a good cause. Better give these pictures back to Brian. I quite like that. Hawks. I am not 100% awake right now. TBH. Hawks and Handsaws. That's the actual title. Excuse me. And the missing person suffers from schizophrenia, which complicates the process of finding them. Samantha hates the cold, and the opening credits confirm that is in fact Jerry O'Connell. You look like crap. I quite like the red-haired woman that the missing person answers to. It's kind of funny that Samantha complains about the cold in New York and says she should have been stationed in LA instead, considering the show is filmed in LA. Samantha is not having a good day. Danny wonders if the Paul Newman they're dealing with is from Cool Hand Luke. Translation: your gun, your problem. No guns, no problem. Who the hell is Peterson? In his defense, if you're gonna use his gun, the gun registered in his name, maybe he should know who the gun is going to be used against. Let's see. All this time we've been thinking he was the one getting shot at. What if he was the one doing the shooting? They have a coffee cup that says FBI on the side. I can't read the rest of it. It looks like one of those with a funny saying on the side, so I do hope we get to see that at some point. Like Federal Binge Watch Instigator or something. And psychiatrist diagnosis. diagnosis, Joe as a paranoid schizophrenic. And the Fumigator is from Peter and Sons, which he made into Peterson. I really enjoy Samantha's misadventures and bad luck in this entire episode so far. I think that might actually have been the last time something really happens, but yeah, in the episode. I forget if I've said it before, but it bears repeating. Jerry O'Connell can be a great actor in the right circumstances. I know some people think of him mostly as a comedy guy, but he does great dramatic work in this episode and elsewhere. They find Alice, sorry. And Alice asks Samantha if her hair color came out of a bottle. You know, I could make a lot of money if I wasn't talking to Goldilocks and Skinny Ass. Wow. Santorum. Sounds like a real piece of crap. Excuse me. And Dave Santorum says he might be the wrong DS. This is not the DS you're looking for. Goldilocks and the skinniest bear confront the pimp. And Goldilocks does not buy the pimp's story, so they take him in. I think the red-haired woman that Joanne works for plays the mother of Shelby. Sorry, not mother. Sorry, she's a friend of the family, but she's not Sylvie's actual mother. Sorry, in Monster, she does a great job there as well. I may have seen her in something else as well. What? When? Why? Where? Who? And Joe called the daughter Alice. He may not be dangerous. Most schizophrenics aren't. I'm probably going to say this a bunch more times, but I really love how left-wing the show can be. So many right-wingers demonize the mentally ill. But as far as I know, that is 100% absolutely true. Most schizophrenics are not dangerous. Now, let's see. And Joe confused Alice and Sophie. And Joe gave his name as Dave Santorum when he came into the psych ward. I really love the filming and editing of Jack talking to Joe. It really conveys confusion, having trouble distinguishing between reality and fiction despite not actually showing any hallucinations or the like. It's not quite POV. When Joe hears Jack refer to his agent Malone, he gets very nervous and asks if he works for the government. Let's see. Where did he leave Sophie? You know, the temperature is going to drop below 0 tonight. And Joe is talking to Dave in his hallucinations, so that's why he gave his name as Dave. And Gibson wants to find Alice's body. Maybe the reason this episode has the kind of funny stuff with Samantha is to keep it from getting too dark with the schizophrenia and the missing 6-year-old. You know, they literally talk about, like, I forget if it's like freeze to death kind of temperature or like get badly hurt, possibly permanently low temperature, but it's one of those. It's not, yeah. Jack talks to Watkins as he can go. Let's see. He can go telling him about news update about Joe. Why am I suddenly so tired? I slept playing last night. Excuse me. Have I mentioned how cold? No, not in the last 6 minutes. They find him breaking off boards. Call Alice. They find Sophie and let's see. Yeah, he immediately pointed out, tell them that just call. So he got the memo that every character in this episode is supposed to point that out. So Watkins wasn't a good Samaritan. He kidnaps little girls. And with Watkins, we do have another case of someone being released on technicality who's actually a dangerous criminal, like with Spaulding Gray in the first season, who returned in this season. Life rules. Self-help guru and faked kidnapping to sell even more tapes. So Will Garton got on a limo. Did I just see the name John DiMaggio in the opening credits? The voice of Bender? I think he plays Reese. Who, if they used dynamite against him, would probably end up as Reese's Pieces. The disgruntled guy changed life rules to life fools. Not bad. Samantha listened to the tape a few years ago, and the others have a little fun with him. The flashback with Stephen really shows use of the self-help talk. Will and Gary. Stephen explains how they keep having to spend more money the closer you get. It sounds like Scientology. So let's see. Paul Moskowitz, who has been getting $5 grand a week for at least 4 months, is in a coma and African American. Samantha cuts right through the hospital administrator's lies about it costing $5 grand to deal with a patient. That's not Paul Moskowitz. His real name is Will Sterling. Right, Sterling, not Brown, whatever. So your brother switched identities for the next one in the coma. Okay, this is really starting to sound like a soap opera. I really love how when this hospital administrator, admits that it's not the real Paul Moskowitz, Jack is like non-verbally communicating, oh, you don't say. Everything was Gary's idea, and Gary does clearly know that his life rules is based on all self-help stuff in the guys. Excuse me. Samantha catches Danny intently watching the tapes, and he's really embarrassed. Your research. This is a classic. I think he made a wise choice getting out of acting. I love Jack Stark. I haven't had a lot to drink today. Is that a thing? Am I sleepy because I didn't have enough to drink? Nah, I'll drink after I finish recording. Excuse me. Those schmucks. This whole thing is a hoax. They got the idea from a bad movie that he was in. Alright, I need a VCR. Something literally no one says today for 500, Alex. I do still own one. A VCR and a lot of VHS tapes. It was not supposed to happen like this. Videotape me with a gun in my hand, talk me out of it, there's no life rules. Okay, excuse me. Okay, don't. Don't start quoting the rules to me. I'm the one who wrote them. Sounds like he drank too much of his own Kool-Aid. And they zoom in. Hands. Shay. Who are you? I was about to ask you the same question. She says he doesn't know where Paul is. Samantha is so done with this guy. Those things. Where's my Paul? Told the guy that he has to kill Reese. Which obviously will make say something that gives away that they're in on it together. Reese very nearly gave away that Gary is in on it. And then Gary doesn't want to call them. I say, does it when they call it second time? Yeah. Looks like he wants to talk to you. Pick it up. It really looks like Paul has talked Reese down. Use your tools. You shut up. You drop the gun. You. Let's see. Samantha teases Danny that he can take one of the tapes home, and as soon as she leaves, he does. Okay. The line. Shotgun on pistol shootout opening. I guess this was the sweeps episode or something. Martin and Jack theorized the tip was not from Bob's girlfriend, but from someone who didn't want to get caught and lured her there. The bear does not think Jesse's over the cop's place, and he thinks the cop dumped her, not the other way around. You looking for Bob? He's with Debbie downstairs. And neither Samantha nor Vivian want to put their coat on Jack. Their jacket on Bob. They'll freeze in that kind of cold without any clothes on. I don't think there was a choice in the matter. Now they have 3 suspects. Okay. I'm inclined to give the people that I work with the benefit of the doubt. Subtle as a jackhammer there, Jack. Great filming and editing, great thriller when they approached Bear in the apartment. Jesse contacted Lorraine, and Lorraine did not tell the FBI. Let's see. Set to play Florence Nightingale. Purcell. Any relation to Dominic Purcell of Prison Break? I guess it's probably the white, glass work behind Jack. But man, does his hair look great all of a sudden. Prince, any relation to Diana Prince? Jack pulls a gun on the cop. Nobody knows we're here, not your people, not my people, no one. The agents get to the dirty cops before they kill Jesse. So she left because of let's see. You're right, internal affairs, yeah, not her mother. How did you break Casey? I don't know. I guess out against the conscience. I mean, that's one theory. Wannabe. Not to be confused with the Spice Girls song. Now, this episode will. I think this entire disc just does not. Or maybe it's. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's this disc, maybe it's the next. Whatever. Let's see if I can remember from the. Right. Yeah, I think that's the yeah. So from memory, I'm gonna read aloud the. Did I move the camera? Sorry. I'm gonna read aloud the. Okay, I'm just gonna check if the camera's set. I know it looks like I'm playing airplane. Okay, looks fine. I'm gonna read aloud. I think it's from Wikipedia. Episode synopsis. Eric Miller, a middle school misfit, goes missing from his school after requesting permission from his teacher to use the toilet. When the team arrive, they find a smashed mirror and blood on the wall. They actually suspect that the dispersed the kidnapping, but when disturbing photographs of the missing boy found on the computer of a student who bullied him, the team divert their focus to other children at the school. Evidence emerges that suggests that during the 24 hours prior to the event, the boy had been sexually assaulted in the school bathroom and tied up and tortured by the popular girls wearing only his underwear, and that he has become increasingly desperate to outrun the intense shame he now feels. The team must track him down before he has a chance to harm those responsible, even himself. Jack uses his own experiences as a father of young daughters to determine that one of the girls involved is lying. Jack and Danny face a last-minute desperate attempt at a happy ending. I I think there are some good elements of this episode, but I do think that I I I think I think the depiction of bullying is fairly credible, and it is both what exactly is done, the fact that it all the girls were just looking for an excuse to bully him, and that it leads to severe, he's basically he's depressed. And yeah, the I think Samantha is the one who says you didn't do it because he said this thing to this other girl because you don't even like that girl. You did it. You just did it because you wanted to. And I think let's see. I find that, and yeah, and it's a pretty decent misdirect that he himself was the one. When you see the smashed mirror and there's blood on the wall, in your head, like someone grabbed him by the shoulders and smashed the back of his head into the mirror, and that's how that happened. When in reality, what happened was he, rams his fist into the mirror, and that's how the mirror got smashed, and his blood got on there, and he smashed the mirror because he couldn't stand looking at himself because he feels such self-hatred. So that was pretty good. But I find it's one of the most contrived. It was one of the ones I most remember as really contrived. The thing with, like, in the locker room, one of the one of the boys talks about how he had sex. So I think one of the other boys is like, you dog, where it's clearly meant as a positive. And so later, he says to the little girl, are you a dog? And later on, at first it sounds like he's bullying her intentionally, and it did upset her, legitimately, but supposedly he thought that asking her if she was a dog like that was supposed to be like praising her because it was when the other boy was called a dog. That's just no, there's no way. I can maybe buy that someone would misunderstand something said to them by someone else. But I do not buy for a second that someone hearing someone say, you dog, about a guy having sex would go up to a girl. I think I even remember the exact lines. He goes up to her and he's like, are you a dog? Well, are you? Even a dog knows whether or not they're a dog. If you're a dog, bark. Something like that. I might get some of those mixed up in the order or something, but yeah, just there's no way. There's no way that he would do that, thinking that it was actually praise. It's because they wanted they wanted something to incite some action there, but they also wanted to be able to redeem him by the end of the episode. And it's just, yeah, it doesn't work. Brings us to Risen. And it's about so this wasn't the disc we're not. I think the next disc is the one where not a single episode. Yeah, just straight up. I put the disc in, I press play, it doesn't work. But yeah. The negative effects of sexual abuse, religious cults, and serious abuse committed by them, and how it hurts family members of those taken in by the cult. We get a flashback to 5 months earlier. Shut the music off. Jessica has been missing for 4 years, and we've kept running the prints every week. There are the DMV photos by Twista. It's okay, we'll lock the house on our way out. Viv finds a tape that says Jessica on it. Dr. Pope wasn't even hiding this tape. And at this point I joked he must have really figured that no one would ever look for it, but yeah, it's because it's not, it's porn, but it's not, evidence of a crime. Why would I keep something that proved I killed someone? Because you watched Basic Instinct and thought it was an instruction manual? And Jessica called him to tell him she's a sex addict. So he used to act out rape fantasies with girls who share his fantasy, and now he's an actual rapist. I'm not sure if it's accurate that one leads to the other. I've heard people argue for that being the case. Others argue that it isn't, and I wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the best at research, so I wasn't able to find out for sure. Jessica might still be alive. Danny's in AA and hadn't had a drink in 7 years. She's missing. What happened? We don't know. That's the whole point. The whole point of the show, in fact. Jessica had a relapse and we get an Inception-style flashback within flashback. Is Jessica's mother really played by Kirstie Alley, or is it just someone who looks a lot like her? I mean, she looks in this the way she looks in the, what's it called? No, it's not Best in Show, because that's about dogs, but it's about, like, I forget what it's called, but it's this, like, late 90s, early 2000s, like, beauty queen contest thing. And, yeah, Kirstie Alley, Denise Richards, and pre-fame, what are they called? Amy Adams, what's her name? 8 Mile, and she plays Shelley in Sin City. Brittany Murphy. Excuse me. Okay. Noreen says Jessica was with a boyfriend of hers. Was in they were neighbors since Jessica was a baby. Apparently Jessica joined a cult called Temple of Absolution. Let's just check the lighting. Yeah, it's better than last time, I think. Let's see. A lot of people join cults if they have personal problems. Cult literally talks to is really creepy. Samantha doesn't get anything out of Richard, now Joshua. When Jessica left the cult, she tried to, let's see, yeah, to get this woman called Kristen out. I talked to Kristen's brother. They came back to the cult place with a warrant. Jack suggests that Kristen be taken against her will. Tells her to hit him. Just imagine she's Kavanaugh. And she immediately hits him, and it looks like it really stings. And Kristen apologizes for hitting him, and he says it's nothing a few Advil won't fix. Kavanaugh sexually assaults Kristen and Jessica. Jessica realizes it was her father who molested her when she was a child. Vivian thinks she found the last known address of Jessica. It's really nice to see Jessica smiling, but then who doesn't smile when they're around a dog? Answer? No one. Alternate answer? Someone attacked by one. The best way to help is to leave her alone. Vivian does tell Noreen how to contact Jessica. Noreen thanks Vivian. I quite like this ending. It really, yeah, for some people it is. Getting away from it all is the best way. Gung-Ho. Losing a lot due to serving in a war, coming home and finding things you thought would work out have gone completely wrong. You open on a PTSD nightmare flashback. Kevin, can I ride on your bike? Is that Jeff playing? Obviously, the army thinks there's something up, but they can't prove it. Or they're trying to brush something under the rug. Jack and Danny fly to the Middle East. They don't realize this episode had that big of a budget. I know a lot of people would punch McAfee in the face if it were a person. Yeah, those kids playing soccer right then in the middle of the street, not moving when there's a Jeep. That does seem suspicious. Very cool action scene. Honestly, no. Lie to me. Kevin stood up in the middle of the firefight. I can't even get my head straight. It's all crooked. The man is missing. The man is missing. Initially looking at his fiance. Ever watch Columbo? There's a bank robbery. Kevin takes his wife and Danny hostage. Kevin and Sarah sing Raindrops. Hey, is this Kevin Grant? Just once. I want that to be a wrong number. Put the weapon down, step outside, and talks things through. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Kevin ejects the clip and commits suicide by a cop. And this is another ending that I find really powerful. I acknowledge that it can be manipulative and sensationalistic, but yeah, a lot of people come back from war, and they just they can't take it. It's just, things are too different. They've gotten used to a way of living that can't work in a regular society. Or, as is also the case here, they realize things had changed while they were gone, and it went really, yeah, the things they were living for are no longer there. Legacy. Excuse me. Never mind. There. The long-term harmful effects of rape and how powerless he can leave the partner feeling. Martin hesitates to fire his gun at the gun range because of the tragic loss of life in case he's been involved with. And they find a little denim, and the tooth sounds like trouble. We meet Danny's brother Raphael, or hear about him anyway. he's a different person now. They recast the role, and the new guy isn't even trying to seem like the last one. Please don't come in here to ask me to make excuses for my brother. Stopped that a long time ago. The argument between George and his colleagues, come on, it's very genuine. It's the kind of stuff that guys like that say to each other, and it's too much for George. It hits too home, literally. Close home. Right, and actually, yeah, when, by the end of the episode, you realize legitimately when he thinks about his wife in any kind of sexual way, that's obviously what he's thinking of. It makes him think of the rape that she endured. Let's see. Martin didn't shave, Samantha found the dentist. Excuse me. That's a pretty far drive with a bad transmission. Sounds like George is having an affair. Maybe his wife found out and got rid of him. They listened to the 911 call about the bleeding. There's nothing to report. All is fine on the left arm front. And as happens on the show, the bloody arm is because George was actually violent, although you can sort of understand why Sean blames George. But it really is, yeah. Nikki looks perfectly okay. You know what? In fact, Nikki looks so fine. So fine it blows my mind. Raphael's fiance confronts Danny. So George left very suddenly after the other guy said he was looking at him. The body is missing a tooth. 8 years ago, Martha was raped and physically battered. Martha refused a rape kit. Danny confronts Raphael in prison. Raphael grabs Danny's arm, and tells Danny the father cut him with a beer bottle at 5 years old. Raphael tells Danny he spent 10 years between the dad's fist and his face. Danny's face. Let's see. The money is not for transmission, it's for Sean's drugs. His drug dealer, Ray Logan. Danny grabs Sean's arm, which is obviously breaking the rules. I don't know any Logan. You're missing out. It's a great movie. Amazing movie. Ray Logan raped Martha and Sean walked in on it. George was tied up in the same room. Sean blames himself for Martha's rape for not locking the door. I guess that's what they had to do to survive. And Danny is no longer only talking about this case, but also his own family. Vivian believes that George killed the drug dealer and is now on the run. Martha came face to face with Ray Logan, who didn't even recognize him. It wasn't George, it was me. Then you better teach him to say no. Good reference to the anti-drug slogan. Daryl, the drug dealer, got close to Martha, which reminded her of the rape. So she snapped and killed him. George saw. And walked out of the room and finds several dead bodies. And then he goes to testify for Raphael. Okay, so Doppelgänger. So again, the disc didn't even read at all. So I'm just gonna briefly. Okay. Julie Cochran, a marine biology student, goes missing from Port Hare before she embarks on a new project. The teenagers suspect the boyfriend may be responsible. When they go to meet his identical twin brother, realize he may actually be the true culprit. Witnesses report hearing an argument between the missing woman and her boyfriend. There may have been about the brother, and when Martin digs into the past of the two men, he finds several disappearances leads to the what? The team is investigating. The team must race against time to discover which brothers are responsible. I'm afraid I don't. That doesn't really ring a bell. But the sooner I'm done with this video. Okay, shadows. So I clearly need sleep somehow. Martin enlists Sam's help to search for his aunt, who goes missing after arguing with a man in her own back garden. She's suffering from cancer, and evidence surfaces that leads Sam Martin to believe her disappearance may be related to her own disease, as well as other patients. Two agents uncovered secrets that will change Martin's life forever. Meanwhile, Jack deals with some devastating news about his father and attempts to bond with him by getting his haircut. That sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't remember enough to say anything about it, I'm afraid. Just like Anthony. Just like Anthony. The two families. Mark Wilson, the father of a death row inmate, goes missing after hearing that his son's final appeal has been turned down. His son will be executed in 2 days' time for triple murder. There's always a claim he sends a note. And then teams suspect the father's despair of the impending date may have led to his disappearance, however, when evidence surfaces that suggests the missing man may have discovered new information about his son's case. The agents are forced to think again, and they finally work out exactly what he was focusing on. They must mount a desperate race against time to save both father and son. An unlikely suspect in the disappearance surfaces may have a desperate desire to deny justice for the missing man. So I don't remember this episode, I'm afraid. This season, so that was 3 very short segments. There's only 3 segments left, so. The world of college football, how little money goes to the players, how little focus there is on their other academic achievements, even though they can't have a long career playing football. Dan realizes Martin must have lost money on games. Busted my knee, and then I was so angry at the coach I nearly kneed his bust. Someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Okay, so we know about his sex life, his dietary habits, and his breathing. It sounds like Lionel Forte's football. Man with a gun in the flashback. The coach says, "Where are they?" I just wish he'd do the Batman voice. Be my guest. I mean, we did just invite him home. You right. So the kids working at G&G were taking him for 4G, so that's at least twice as many G's as the company's name. The player points out the college football players don't say any of the money earned despite how much is earned. If Jack goes with Chicago, he'll be back on the street as an agent, not still. Yeah, might be several years before he got a supervisory position. So now Maria is complaining that Jack pulled out of a meeting. If he was so good at pulling out earlier, he wouldn't have had 2 daughters together. Who's that guy with the glasses? Doug Walker? He identifies the supposed lawyer and father as the guy with the gun. So it wasn't threatening Jim, he was just holding it in his hand. a bit contrived. It wasn't even his gun, and he was shocked to be shown it. I saw your film. I think the critics were too harsh on it. He already has a father. He doesn't need another one. Need to know if he knew. And when we let him know that we know, he'll know that we know that he knows. The coach is so proud when his kid wants to take his own test instead of letting someone else. They record Miss Garrett without her knowledge and finds that she's the one who made the anonymous call. It's the price I pay for not acting sooner. Become an actor and they'll be a factor. Gareth thinks her husband did something. I don't know. And they sent you a registered letter and signed for it. Busted. Evan loses it and attacks Martin. Evan saw the resignation email and thought that he really was resigning rather than being fired. Evan punches the coach and he falls and lands head first on a rock and hard place. I understand your position, Jack, as well as your disposition. And Jack has determined he will go to Chicago with Maria. Again, very contrived that the coach died from that. So, lost and found. About the pains and joys of adoption and foster homes. So Jack starts the new job in 2 weeks, which is when the new season starts. Samantha cries, very sad about Jack leaving, but hides it from Vivian, though Martin does see it. This episode, the missing person is there from the very start, but they have to find out where she has been rather than where she is right now. Interesting twist on the concept. Excellent child actress, very sweet, reassurance by her mother. Oh, be careful about working with Letterman. Watch Heroes for why. Hendrix, in relation to Jimi Hendrix. I forget where the guy in the office is. Where else I've seen him, but I really like him in that other show. Was it that one about the guy who gets the paper for the next day, so he has to change the negative story? And this guy plays his friend or something, maybe, I don't know. Early Edition, I think it's called. See, I enjoyed watching that show, but if I tried watching it today, I'd probably find it too corny. This show hits the right balance between that kind of, too corny and genuine, heartfelt, and kind of scary and unpleasant thing. And sometimes with hypnosis, they give you what they think you want to hear or what they want you to believe. I was about to bring up that hypnosis is not always reliable, but then the show did it for me. Don't get all proud, okay? I was smart and sensitive before our sessions. Jack was lying down on the couch in his office, and Danny looks like he's never seen him like that before. Miss Caldwell, in relation to the trophy host? Tanner. Caldwell Tanner. That's his name. If Vivian's last name is Johnson, does that mean that if she and her husband had a law firm together, it would be Johnson & Johnson? I just wanted you to be prepared. Coincidentally, I read the excellent abridged script for the original Lion King just yesterday. Steve Rogers, why is Jack living on Captain America? Not the yesterday, but the day before yesterday, since, yeah. Excuse me, you have a hair, and I'd really like to run a DNA test on it. Jack has asked that Vivian take over the unit. Samantha opens up to Martin about the relationship with Jack. Jack confronts her that she kidnapped Serene. Michael's the father. Michael doesn't. generally care what's best for Serene. There's Charles Porter, with knowing that Serene's adoptive parents. And the episode about Serene ends up feeling Serene. And Samantha helps Jack pack so they won't lack a snack in case of a hunger attack. Let me think. It was and the final episode before the video is over and I can go to sleep is called Bait. Everyone on the boat disappears, all 4 of them. Last night, couldn't sleep, constantly. Jack goes into the office, and the flashback shows they were in the middle of things, just preparing food when they disappeared. Which really tells us, yeah, it didn't just, it's not just they all felt like swimming for a while, something. It happened in the middle of something. Seasick Coast Guard, that's a first. Are you okay? It's the body. Yeah, I was gonna say, Martin, it's probably the body. But he probably knew that. He was just kidding. Is the wife the half Klingon character that was a main character on Voyager? I think it is. Star Trek Voyager, if you don't know. Mr. Fuentes is pretty slimy. I had expected him to show up in more of the episode. Him to reappear as a suspect, maybe. I guess they felt that point was made that, this thing of ugly business transactions. Fuentes doesn't even have to tell him what it is he wants from the guy. Danny talks to Memo. Matt confirms that it seems like the new Captain Winters. So that's how Matt got away. There's a shootout. He told you that uncut diamonds are worth less? Yeah, because, they haven't been shaped or whatever. So, this guy gave up a promising career in rocket surgery to become a deckhand. Vivian did get the promotion, despite the bureaucratic crap, bullcrap that Jack was warning about. What was it, Vivian? Whatever they talked about. Smart way to double check that it's actually Erica, not like some woman working with the kidnappers, and they've already killed Erica. That woman would not know the birth date of Matt. So the Coast Guard girl was on the inside. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. I want a deal. I want it in writing. She's just full of ideas, isn't she? They tell Stephanie to call Lance and send him to a different boat. 2 of the guys manage to escape in the car, make a run for it. You really tell us the season finale, more action than usual episode. Samantha almost got shot, but Martin saved her. They get the address of the cell phone. Both of them are still alive. I think they did a good job in the characterization of Ben. At first, it almost does seem like he's not too broken up about it, but he really was intending to handle it himself, completely. That's what he's used to doing, being in charge. But here, at the end, he clearly does care. That's genuine emotion on his face for saving, when his wife and daughter are back, He accepted that the FBI should handle it, and then we see here at the end them meeting back up together. Excuse me. Samantha thanks Martin for saving her life, and there are a couple of looks. I forget if they have more relationship in the next season. Want to share a cab? I live uptown. Yeah, I know. Was that him being oblivious, or was he just making sure that he had informed consent? And Maria tells Jack that she doesn't want him to come with them to Chicago. I don't want to be married to you anymore. I honestly forgot that this was how it worked out. That is a bit of a twist and a change to the status quo for the next season. A different, different change than we already thought we had. He's going to stay in New York with the team, but he's now not the boss. I forget how long it lasts. And even if I remember that, I obviously wouldn't say in this video, since I only spoiled the season up to the point of this video, of the video itself. But let's see. Right, so let's see. Yeah, and the episode appears to be, excuse me. Alright, just real quick. It's a great finale and a great season. First, it appears to be that a businessman just has a lot of enemies, and so, but, yeah, then if you, yeah, then it appears to be completely random. But then, if he wasn't such a ruthless businessman, maybe the hostage takers would have not have assumed that he knew, would have said specifically what it was they were waiting for. They thought he was the one who found the diamonds, but really it was the deckhand. I mean, they must have figured either he found them himself, or that someone else, excuse me, working on the boat found them and handed them to him, instead of getting them to a dealer so quickly. But really, the people who do work for him probably don't like him very much, because he's not a nice person, doesn't treat other people well. Let me just real quick read this loud. Yeah, so Without a Trace is fast-paced procedural drama with the missing person squad of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The sole responsibility of the Special Task Force is to find missing persons by applying advanced psychological profiling techniques to peel back the layers of the, and then it cuts off. Trace understands that people watch with the dramas to become involved with the characters' lives. The executive producer, Jerry Bruckheimer and company have caught on to the idea that although we'd like a few clues here and there, something to connect us to the characters, we don't want too much. The mystery should extend to personalities as well as to how crimes have been committed. And yeah, I agree, and I don't really have anything to add. So, hopefully next week I won't be so freaking sleepy, but I did still enjoy recording. I hope you did as well. So, until the next time, I hope you enjoyed. Wait, I forgot my own sign off. I hope you enjoyed watching as I enjoyed watching and recording, and I'll catch you next time.